All right, welcome to Zagging 101. My name is Guy Danhoff, and our slogan's pretty simple. Why others do a zig, we are the zag. In other words, we want to cut across the grain so that we can get noticed and so that we can add value to our audience. And today's episode, we are now in the fall series, episode 5. We're broadcasting live, certainly all across the United States, but our home base is right here in St. Louis, Missouri, the Show Me State. Today's episode will be on 3 key tips on how you can use Instagram for creating content that gets shared, that gets engaged upon. And with this, next slide. In case you're new to Zagging 101, basically what we do, we exist to help you. That is our #1 driving force. What we want to do is help develop your influence, your impact, and also your advocacy using social media. This is a brief bio on myself. My name is Guy Danhoff. I'm the co-host of Zagging 101. I work with 3 amazing advocacy groups here at our state level with MOSHAPE, also through 2 grants through the CDC with Missouri Healthy Schools. I also serve the national board, the national group of Shape America as their strategists and do live video. I've also co-authored a textbook specific to digital marketing directly in our space last year. And I'm also an assistant professor of health and sports sciences, which I teach classes like marketing and social media and communications. And with that, I want to introduce my co-host, Lauren Krebs. But I'll tell you one little secret about her. This gal loves coffee.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Krebs. As you just said, I'm also the co-host of Zagging 101. So I kind of got connected with this group by being part of the digital media consultant for the Missouri Coordinated School Health Coalition. And now I'm kind of changing roles and kind of going into the Missouri Healthy School. So that's how I kind of got connected. I've always been passionate about health and fitness, and I've played sports my whole life. So as well, I'm as a freshman counselor here at Missouri Baptist University. I'm a soccer and softball coach. I'm also a dog mom to that cute little dog right there named Nala. She's a Great Pyrenees Lab mix. And like I said, I am coffee obsessed. So if you ever want to meet for coffee, I am your girl, and we will find a whole new coffee place.
Thank you, Lauren. All right, so I'm actually going to bring on Anna to introduce. Anna, by the way, was recently on a podcast called Master Your Health that our guest is one of the co-hosts of. And with that, Anna, why don't you introduce our special guest, considering we're probably the best out of all of us.
I sure hope I do. Thank you so much for letting me do that. This is a very special guest and my cousin's wife. So I would just say cousin, and her name is Amanda Maizaracchio, and she is part of the Master Your Health podcast. She's been amazing. I call her my fun, fit, fabulous fitness family friend. And she has over 1.4 million followers on Instagram. And what I love about her podcast and just about her in general is she has this amazing ability to break down information in ways that anyone can understand. And I just think it's really powerful, especially in the day and age that what we have with information and technology and how things move so fast. It's just really important to be able to break that down for anyone at all. So I love that she does that. And she's phenomenal with her graphics, her prints, her photos, and with her images, her videos, and especially with her educational tips about fitness and nutrition. So welcome, Amanda, to the podcast. She has an ebook at the same time. It's about 101 snacks with fitness videos as well. I'm so excited for you to join us today, so welcome.
Thank you so much. You guys are awesome.
So Amanda, one other thing as we move into the next slide, I just want to say thank you for really advocating for our profession. I know that normally the content you do is related to nutrition and health, and that the fact that you gave Anna the opportunity to talk about what's happening with school reentry specific to PE, that you and your husband felt that was so important. We couldn't thank you enough for advocating and allowing us to tap into your audience with our message. So I want to say thank you for that.
Of course, honestly, I feel like there's not an emphasis enough on PE. So anything I can do to help that mission.
Yeah, thank you again. All right, guys. So here's our starting point. And I'm putting this out here again for a lot of our leaders, just to give a big picture. 37% are on Instagram, but the big number I want you guys to pay attention to for the sake of our future professionals, if you look at the statistics right here, that 18 to 29 range, there's 67% are already on Instagram, compared to only less than 20% of that group are on Twitter and less than 12% are on Facebook today. And part of the reason why we wanted to do this session was to start to get mindful, if we would, about really looking at our future professionals, because this is so important as we look at this demographic, that they're engaging, they have a strong presence. And I'm just saying today is just to be a conversation starter as we move forward and learning more about Instagram today. And so with that, next slide. All right, so Lauren, why don't you go ahead and take us through some more detail regarding the statistics.
All right, yes. So this is just kind of, us and our data. So we're just kind of showing you where people are at on how much they view. So that we're looking, Facebook is still #1 with about, and right under that is Instagram and then Snapchat. And that is, if you guys see that blue, is they are on it daily. You see that right there? And then that lighter blue is weekly and then less often. And a surprising factor for me is how much Twitter went down, because I feel like in previous studies that was kind of more of a higher one, and now it seems like Instagram is taking that second place. So that's kind of going to bring me to this next slide, where Instagram users spend an average of 53 minutes a day on Instagram. So that gives us such a huge platform and amount of time for people to spend on this platform itself. Anything else you want to add to that, Guy or Amanda?
I'll defer to Amanda.
It definitely doesn't reflect how many hours a day I use that, because that's way too. No, but obviously when you run a business on it, you do have to spend a lot more time on it. But yeah, I mean, obviously this is my primary platform. I've had a lot of success on it, and I do feel like these numbers accurately reflect what I'm seeing. And my age range primarily is 25 to 35 that follow me, 85% female. So I definitely agree. I can attest to all these stats.
Yeah. So one of the next biggest things, and you guys know me, I'm a data freak, and I found it really interesting that when you start talking about doing brand stories, and when I refer to a brand, I mean someone like Amanda, her business has a brand, or like MOSHAPE or like Shape America. Those branded stories, believe it or not, have an 85% completion rate. The bottom line is the facts and the feelings that are created by your brand, they're getting watched, they're getting viewed. And that's part of the reason why I think you've seen the shift in Twitter going down and Instagram going up, because the real big thing is stories. That story feature has really taken off in a big way. So much so, as you guys know, Facebook owns Instagram. And now you see Facebook has their version of stories because of the wildly huge success. Now, Amanda, you want to speak to that a little bit? Because we've seen that shift ever since Instagram launched the stories. We saw it go to Facebook, but this has been pretty pivotal in terms of your success.
Yes, I would say stories is absolutely life-changing. I also think, not doing stories versus doing stories is the difference between getting brand partnerships, making more money, also connecting with your audience on a deeper level. And I would say if you can put yourself in the stories, like obviously graphics are great, but if you can really put yourself, if you can talk to the camera, make it that more personal element while also obviously staying educational or informational, you'll see a huge success. And I was also talking to them before this about how I have friends, some people have double the audience, but even the smaller pages who actually use stories properly, I've seen them have more success than someone with a larger audience. So it really can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And another piece I want to kind of state on this. So the thing where it's like the fact and feelings that are created by your brand, I feel like, and Amanda, I kind of want to hear your views on this. It's more about telling who you are and how you're doing things personally than just doing these things and trying to push and advertise the product or
or service.
Or service. Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like a TV show, right? Or something.
Yep.
You watch a TV show, you only want one small ad. You don't want the whole show to be a long ad. Kind of how you look at stories for me personally. You know, I'm showing a workout, I'm giving a recipe, you know, I'm sharing, like you said, something about my life, like how I make travel healthy, what I'm bringing with me, all that free educational content and maybe some fun behind the scenes. And then if I do have a product or like my ebook ad, that'll take up 1 or 2 clips in my like 8 to 10 clip story. So again, it's like the TV show with the commercials, kind of thinking it like that. And then obviously, like you said, being personal and educational.
Yeah.
So how-to tutorials are the most popular form of Instagram video content. And I am going to speak on this a bit, but I'm actually going to throw this right back to Amanda because she is very experienced in this. But this is, I'm super passionate about this because I feel like this is a platform where individuals that may not have the experience or may not have things that they think that they can't start their business, but this gives you an opportunity to start a business and show your passions and explain, and through Instagram, create that business that you are so passionate about or wanting to start. And I really want to hear your kind of thoughts on that, Amanda.
Yeah, I mean, for me, educational content is everything. So obviously that's like so many different variations of how to, for me, it's recipes and workout videos. You know, obviously if you're like in the PE space, it could be, you know, maybe how you work out and exercise, but also like, how do you make it fun for children? Like here are some stats of currently, you know, maybe like X amount of kids are working out, like, you know, like there's a lack there. And you really want to use PE as a place to provide what's missing in America. So there's so many different angles you can take on it. And like she said, you know, use your passion, you know, what are you most passionate about, or what business are you trying to drive, and make it around that. Cause there's so many different niches on Instagram now. You know, there's like mom fitness pages, there's kids nutrition pages. Like the more you can kind of hone in to your specific niche and continue to iterate content around that, the more successful you'll be.
So Amanda, with that, I want to drill that down a little further, because right now, as you know, with COVID, you know, we're facing in the health and PE community, you know, we've got face-to-face, we've got hybrid, we've got, like Anna teaches, you know, she's totally, you know, virtual. Don't you think that, you know, creating more content using Instagram as another vehicle to get that message out would be very valuable for even our community?
Absolutely. I mean, I think sharing tips on things that kids can do during the day to take a break, you know, how parents can almost create like a little PE of their own at home, maybe with a few game ideas. And maybe like the sharing also some stats around that. Like, you know, there's so many studies about how exercise can help you concentrate more, can help, you know, performance and grades. So also like highlighting that for children, I think, and just telling that story so parents feel the need to continue that and to provide that space at home. And also maybe explaining now, you know, like, which I interviewed Anna on our podcast, was like, how are you doing things now in school? Like, I loved hearing the details of what she did on Zoom, or, you know, like what that changes, but how you're making it work and its opportunity to, you know, do stuff at home, and maybe giving tips like, hey, if you can create a space for your children, here's like a couple examples of spaces that children have at home. All of that information would be extremely helpful.
Yeah, thank you very much on that. All right, so one of the things I do want to get into, and you guys have heard me talk almost every week about the micro influencer. Now I think one of the things that we want to look at is a macro influencer. And if you look on this, what social media channels are most important for influencer marketing, you can see Instagram is just under 90%. Then of course you have 70% on YouTube. Then of course Twitter's not even really in the equation that much. And Amanda, explain to our viewers what is meant by an influencer marketer, especially when you're talking about Instagram or even YouTube.
So it's basically showing how you weave in certain products or even your own products into a marketing campaign. So right now, obviously brands understand that, you know, you need to hit users in a bunch of different areas, and using influencers that already really align with the product, right? You don't want to do a mismatch. Like, it wouldn't make sense for me to partner with some junk food, obviously. It would completely ruin my reputation. But, you know, obviously, like like the health products, you know, I do a lot of fitness stuff, so I'm partnered with an athletic apparel brand, and depending on what the brand wants, I'll come up with different campaigns ideas, whether that's, you know, one post a month, a couple stories, you know, maybe even having some podcast ads. Obviously that's not Instagram, but it's just really reaching a new audience and using the influencer, because they've really built that trust and that credibility when it comes to whatever niche they're in. So as long as you're matching your product to the niche, or you know, even the influencer making products that they know their audience will love, that's where you're seeing like the most success.
So Amanda, with that, would you agree with what I'm about to say, that if you know that we're about advocacy as well very heavily, and that we could be even doing launching some advocacy campaigns through Instagram, and with that, I mean, that would be attractive even to sponsors, correct?
Absolutely, definitely. I mean, also, you know, brands want to look like they're giving back to the community and they're part of a cause. So I think it gives them a chance to, you know, show that side, and then also for you guys get more reach by partnering with the brand. So it's a win-win. So I know sometimes when I've given opportunities, because sometimes you just don't know. You're like, where can I help? I want to give back, but I don't really know where to start. You know, reaching out to the right brand, they'd probably absolutely appreciate that, and it would, for their brand image, it would of course make them look good.
Yeah, and the nice thing is we'd have all the analytics to show them that, to show them the reach, to show them what percentage of people stay on our videos, all that kind of fun stuff, to help give us supporting evidence to do that. So, all right, let's next slide.
So hashtags are the secret sauce for maximum exposure. So Guy, you want to take the first one here?
I do. How many guys have ever heard me talk about hashtags in the past? I think I talk about it as much as I talk in data analytics. People ask, what's the big deal with hashtags? You know, hashtag this, hashtag that. If you want to see something really funny, go watch Saturday Night Live. They did a spoof on it when hashtags first came out on one of their episodes. That's kind of funny. It's all making fun of hashtags, but hashtags in Instagram, guys, is where the game's played. This is the secret sauce. So how many? Are you ready for this? You want to write this down? 30. If you're going to be an Instagram and you're going to be taking seriously, you want to have 30. And again, if you're kind of starting out, I mean, you can start out, you know, between 15 to 20. But again, when you listen to all the experts, you listen to people like Amanda, and I certainly follow all these people in social media marketing world, they're constantly doing tips and tricks and hacks on how to leverage and seek out these hashtags. And with that, Amanda, you want to speak to how many you're using and kind of weighing in on like why hashtags is the secret sauce?
Yes, I mean, I'm pretty shameless with my use of hashtags. I feel like there is this misconception, like, oh, you have a large following, like you don't need to throw hashtags in. I'm like, why would I not, like Guy said, maximize my reach and reach all these different categories? And as you get bigger, you can also be the top featured in the hashtag category. So, you know, you can fit in 30. I put at the bottom of the caption, and it's just a great way to hit a bunch of different categories. So for me, it's often like meal prep, healthy lifestyle, recipe. Of course, you want it to relate to your post. So you definitely want to not have a mismatch there. You know, for example, if I'm sharing a recipe and it's not paleo, I don't want to, you know, misguide people. But, you know, I see thousands of views when I use the hashtags. It's there in my analytics. So it's absolutely worth it. And there's actually a tool I use that can like help you find hashtags. So I can always drop that in the chat at the end.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. And Lauren, so if we know how many, where do they find the hashtags, or where do you go for the hashtags?
Yeah, so Amanda kind of explained. So when at the end of your comment, sometimes they do like a lot of spaces, and that's where they place them. Or we've seen a lot of them adding it to that first comment. So that way, whenever people search it, it still pops up with that post. And do you have any comments on that, Amanda? Is that where you kind of place yours?
Yeah, I usually sometimes do. So like I have my whole caption and then I do a couple dots and I put it on there, because I always get skeptical of like sometimes will the first comment work, which it does work for some people, but that's always I always get nervous, but then also if you have a long caption, you run out of room. So both are great. But yeah, I do tend to put all 30 at like the bottom of my caption.
Yeah. So then you want to look at which ones, and here's kind of a strategy. This is something I've been teaching with clients that I work with, and I had a chance to talk to Amanda before broadcast, and she agrees this with, although I'll have her explain it too. But the great thing about using Instagram is when you type in a hashtag, so you put in whatever keyword you want, it's going to tell you how many views it gets. So when I say that, when you're talking about 30, you want to use 3 to 5 that are very popular. When I mean very popular, I'm talking 300,000 to 1 million. That can get you some traffic into a big net, if you would. And then you want to scale down from there. Then you want to go to hashtags that are still within, again, your product or your service. Then you can go for about, 10 to 15 in that range. And then you want to start to get more niche specific, like Amanda was saying, so you can drill down. That way you got a chance to reach all these different groupings. And sometimes, believe it or not, even those that are under 1,000, maybe it's not the big play of the mass, people finding you, but it's who's finding you. And that's why you want to have a strategy for which ones to use, so that you can go big and then kind of use a funnel to narrow down on how many people are searching that, because that's going to give you a good telltale. And one thing I would also add in, I'm also big on always creating your own hashtag if you can, like we did with Zagging 101. No one else had it or was using it. So for organic, in other words, non-paid SEO, which is search engine optimization, guess what? We come number 1 on all the search charts because we created our own hashtag. And Amanda, you want to kind of add to that?
No, I mean, honestly, I really agree with everything you said. You hit the what is it, the nail on the head. But
yeah.
Obviously, like an example of that is, I might have a recipe or like, hashtag meal prep, and then when I drill down into that, it might be hashtag paleo recipe, and like, further like hashtag, if it's specifically chicken soup, get really specific, hashtag chicken soup, getting really specific, but then also including, like you said, the broader ones, healthy lifestyle, like,
right.
Yeah. So, but you nailed it.
Thank you. All right, the power of Instagram stories for creative edge. And all I'm going to say on this one, guys, is that you guys have heard me say it for weeks. Still, the most powerful thing we have is our stories. There are some that would say, again, marketing specialists in this space would say that RY is our most secret weapon, if you would, to communicating and connecting our point of differentiation. That is why it's so important that we're so rock solid in our why, because that's what differentiates, even if we're in the same space. Amanda, obviously, guys, is in a very, very, very traffic space. There's a lot of people doing things similar to what she does, but how does she stand out? She's got her own brand. She has her own way of differentiating herself. It's the same thing that I see, or I have a vision for, that we could be doing within the HBE community or in the fitness community, is that we got to start leveraging the stories like we talked about last week with Stephanie Morris, our Shape America CEO, and that is getting more stories shared and told. And the great thing is this platform has made it custom easy for us to do that. With Amanda, and Amanda, anything else you want to add to the power of the Instagram stories?
No, I mean, I agree with what you said, and also that obviously statistics and all that are wonderful, but if you can back it up with the full story, like, people love to hear like what I struggled with and how I overcame that. So as much as I can share information and stats, if you can really incorporate a story to back that up using Instagram stories, you'll be set.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are I'm so excited about this part. So Amanda, her Instagram is amazing. So right now we're going to go into how to grow your Instagram followers organically, and we're going to have a Zag takeover. So we're actually going to have Amanda start sharing her screen, and she's going to walk us through her Instagram and show us how she has grown followers organically, and kind of breaking down all the different things within Instagram, like your feed, your IGTV, your stories, your live, and kind of breaking that down for everyone to kind of see how she does it. So Amanda, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Okay, let's see. I just gotta Here we go. And I'll make it full screen. So I guess starting with a couple, do you want me to share how to grow your audience first, or give them a little tour of my page? Which one would you like?
Start with the overall. I think it'd be easier for
Okay.
people to connect to that, and then you can go into the strategy.
Okay. So, okay, here's my page. Now, a lot in terms of like my overall strategy, you can see I have like healthy recipes is a big component. That's one pillar I have on my page. Then just general nutrition advice when it comes to like how to set up your diet or different facts. I have, like different facts about foods and foods you need to be incorporated into your diet. And then also another important component to me is making sure I'm on my page, obviously still sharing information. So again, still very educational, but if it were just all food, you wouldn't really know who I was. It'd be a lot harder to get brand partnerships. Also, there's another connection you get there because it's not literally just, overhead photos of food. But yeah, I have a lot of fun with it. And I really not only try to share information, but how to implement the information, because I can give stats and all the different food macro breakdowns all day, but if you don't know what to do with that type of food, you might feel a little stuck. So that's another big component of the types of content I share. This was actually a really fun post where I added in 6 arms on myself, basically just showing like, you see all those tips out there about getting healthy and it can feel overwhelming. So really just to manage it and like pick one area at a time. So kind of like have fun with your content and, don't be afraid to think a little bit outside the box when it comes to getting your messages out there. And then, so that's kind of my feed right now. It's mostly photos because that's what I'm good at. Now this is IGTV. In terms of, it's similar, like it's like Instagram's version of YouTube. Not quite. I think YouTube is a little bit better because it's searchable and all that.
Right.
But it's long form video. You can do up to, I think it's up to an hour, but like this is where you'll have your longer form content, or if you do an Instagram live, you can record it and, upload it to your IGTV. So I find this helpful. I'm having a little more fun with Reels, which you can't see right now, but Reels are 15-second videos, similar to TikTok. And I know everyone right now is like, TikTok is just for little girls who are dancing and all that, but there's actually a ton of educational content on there and workouts and all that. So don't miss out on that. And again, if you don't want to do TikTok, I think Reels is great because it's basically Instagram trying to copy TikTok. It's not perfect yet, but it will get there. And then obviously the last 2 components of your profile that's really important is one, your bio. So you want to make it really clear, like what information are you sharing with people? For me, I obviously have making nutrition easy to understand. I don't want to alienate guys, so I don't hone in on just females, even though I have 85% female, but if you can add an audience to that, it would be even better, like helping parents, make fitness fun for their kids or something along those lines. And then I had a little more room. So I say food facts and healthy recipes, because that's those are like my main 2 pillars on my feed. And then this is like where I have like my sell for my products. So I have my 101 healthy snacks ebook. And then right now I'm partnered with Organifi. So that's more of my sales pitch at the end. And then stories, which I love. And obviously, Guy and Lauren, we're selling it to you. But right now, most of my story highlights are either recipes or workouts, sometimes food comparisons. So it's also a great place. You can save your stories there so they don't disappear. Because obviously, if stories last 24 hours, but if you save them to your highlights, then they're there indefinitely until you move stuff around. So that's kind of an overview of my page. And then did you guys want me to move into tips on how to grow your page?
Yeah, I think what, with me and Lauren handling the marketing, we told everyone that you'd be sharing some tips on how you go from 0 to 1.4 million. And I mean, and we were talking, and I also, Amanda, when you tell us your story, there's some things that you failed along the way, even because the people who get to this level of success, there is some failure. There is. And I love our executive director, he talks about it all the time. You're not growing unless you're failing sometimes. And so we'd love to hear your story, how you went from zero to hero with your brand. What I think is so amazing when you look at, you know, your mantra is pretty simple, you know, making nutrition easy to understand. I mean, that is just, it seems so easy and simple, but yet that's what people are looking for. And so I think all of us would love to hear how you grew this page to over 1.4 million followers.
You got it. Well, so number one is really about honing in on the types of content you're going to share. And let me say, that's where I failed at the beginning. So trial and error on that. Don't, you know, be kind to yourself. But I used to do a lot more like selfies, like, you know, oh, I just finished my workout. Like, look at me. Like, I'm on top of the hill. Look at me. Here's a quote, which is just not going to get you very far. So I would say if you scroll, don't do it. If you scroll back really far, you'd see some embarrassing photos. But over time, I started sharing first it was more my meal prep. So it was more my food and recipes. I didn't really do this graphic style. But that originally got me a lot of traction. So as I was saying, like, kind of figure out your content, but, you know, educational, helpful, always come back to that. And then after a while, I realized, wow, this meal prep and recipe stuff is awesome, but this is really more about what I'm doing, which is great. But I'd love to take it a step further and add in, like, you know, why certain foods are better, like some research behind all of this nutrition information. So that's when I started making graphics and really taking it to the next level where I'm incorporating what I'm doing, but also just educating on other things. Like, you know, I've done a post on the keto diet. I haven't done it myself, but I did a lot of research and shared that for people. So you don't all have to be doing everything to share really good information on it if you do your research. So number one, figure out your content, but know that it won't be perfect at first, but just get a good base going, because it's going to be really hard to attract a following if you don't even have like some, you know, if it's just you and your cousin, you know, chilling, and like your dog, like, you're going to have a hard time getting followers. So that's step one. Then number two, actually, which is when I was smaller, like these things really add up, is like engaging. Well, first of all, engaging with everyone who comments and DMs you, because you have a small page, you have the ability to do that, to take advantage of that. But then, you know, just to kind of get some initial traction, like, you know, comment on random people's pages, like search your hashtag or whoever the audience you're trying to attract. You know, for me, if I was trying to attract the meal prep audience, I'd search that hashtag and comment on people's posts, and not just big people, right? You want the people with the like no following, that's they're trying to get healthy, and they'll see your comment and then go look at your page. And because you already have great content there, you can get followers that way. You know, it's a little more grind at the start, obviously, to get the, you know, I'd say the first 100, 200 followers is really hard, because the bigger you get, it does accelerate. So that would be number two. And then number three, as you get a little bit bigger, is find people to partner with, cross promote. I did a lot of like shout outs when I was in the like 100K follower range. So like reaching out to another page that shares workouts, and I share nutrition tips. So we'll be like, I'll tell my audience to follow her page, because, you know, it was great information, and vice versa. So once you get to a certain level, finding people with the similar amount of following and shouting each other out, you know, and if you don't know how to get that relationship started, you know, DM them, tell them you like their page, start engaging with them. And then because you're a similar audience size, I think you'll find a lot of success with that, and you won't get a lot of no's because of the fair trade, right? So those are my three biggest tips. And then I'd say, and then as you get bigger, your content itself will start to help grow you. So those are like my three biggest takeaways, I'd say.
Amanda, that really is truly amazing. And all I can say is, when it comes to Health Moves Minds, you guys heard this last week with Stephanie Morris, we've just started to do that now with some of the states. For example, you know, MOSHAPE has been working with New Jersey on actually collaborating with each other's posts. Same thing with North Carolina. And that relationship has really, we've seen an uptick. And Amanda, you're exactly right. I mean, the cool part is we're doing this on Twitter right now. And to be able to think that this is kind of a similar strategy, again, to this platform is very helpful for all of us to hear that. So I greatly appreciate, you sharing that. And what we'll do now is we're going to transition to wrapping up the show that we can go live. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions that people have for you. So thank you for sharing that. And I'll let Lauren kind of wrap us up.
All right. Okay. So
all right, guys. Well, as you guys know, we're very blessed that we've got a great relationship with Heart Zones as our main sponsor. They sponsor this show. They sponsor the MOSHAPE Minute, and they'll be sponsoring our upcoming November 12th through the 15th, our MOSHAPE virtual convention. And we're really excited to, you guys be seeing a lot more details on that very soon. We've been working behind the scenes on that. So with Lauren, if you guys would get to your computers, because she's got the first giveaway. They're giving away this heart rate monitor chart that you can hang up, and this is pretty cool. So this is gonna be our first giveaway. So Lauren, you got our first pop quiz question?
yes. So the first one in the chat, Anna will be moderating it.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the question of the day is, on average, how much in a day are people on Instagram? And we need the exact amount. I just hear the Jeopardy music in my head. And
Evan Lowry, you are the winner.
Woo!
53 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evan,
There you
see,
go, Evan.
way to winner,
All
winner,
right.
chicken dinner. There we go. That's a college student. See, told you, come on, you win. That's pretty good. Nice job. He also happens to be my student fellow, so not surprised that he has that photographic Rain Man memory. So that's good. All right. So we want to thank you, Heartstones, for providing that amazing tool for us with the heart rate chart. All right. Our next giveaway. This is coming straight from our guest, Amanda. Man, we want to thank you so much. And now we're going for your free ebook, which is 101 Snacks. You want to tell us a little more about it so they can get a little more geeked up and ready to go?
Yeah. It's not free. It costs money. Okay. But it just has a ton of like simple recipe combos, also some delicious things like a paleo fudge, sweet potato brownies, like healthy versions of basically desserts, which also can be a snack. And I have the calories and macros on every recipe. So if you want to track that stuff, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, it's all there for you. And you'd be surprised at, some ideas that maybe you didn't think about before.
oh,
All right.
Oh, I
I
also have
know.
a healthy French fry recipe. Oh, it's really good.
All right.
Sorry, I had to chime in there.
All right. So what we want to do now, get ready, get by your computers. I'm going to read the question once. The first one who answers will win this amazing, amazing resource. Here we go. What is the number one way that Amanda mentioned on how you go from 0 to 1 million followers on Instagram?
See here.
Who was first?
I mean, it was.
The correct answer is content.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
If they put content, that is the number one way, because she said.
It looks like
Oh.
Brad Broom.
Brad Brummel?
Brad Brummel.
Oh my gosh, how about that? Brad
All right, Brad Brummel. Way to go.
Brummel. Way to go, man.
so jealous.
Oh my gosh.
It
Thank
happened
you.
really fast. Like everyone just kind of bombarded the chat, so I wasn't able to see it at first. I apologize.
All right. Well, we'll follow up with you, Brad, afterwards. We'll get things together. So while we're doing that, guys, if you could, Lauren, take it away on what we're going to do next.
So after each show, we love to hear what you guys took away, and that helps us kind of gear where we want to maybe dive into the next one, and just to make sure you guys are getting information from Zagging 101. So if you guys would not mind taking a few minutes and dropping in the chat box as we close up. So your key takeaway of today.
And I read these, so this is really good for the broadcast. Shameless in the hashtags. Sammy.
That's a good one.
It
That
is.
was a good one. You're reading my mind there, Sammy.
Cross promotion, Dennis, you're exactly right. We've been talking about that for weeks. 30 hashtags. Create a need. Absolutely. What's missing in America? Terry, you're right on. People like a personal story. Instagram is where it is and not Twitter. That's especially true, obviously, with our future professionals. Jody, my students are most likely using Instagram, started using Instagram stories, hashtags. Absolutely. Evan, don't just put your post yourself on Insta, post scenery. All right. All right. While a few more are trickling in, thank you guys for sharing. Is Lauren, once you get it started, because I want to wrap up this because of the person who just won, we got to make a special announcement.
Okay. So I just want to thank you all for coming and watching Zagging 101. And I want to especially thank Amanda for coming on. We appreciate you so much and really sharing your knowledge. And so for next week, stay tuned. We're going over creating video content, which we're super excited about. And we are, you'll have to wait and see who our special guest is. But again, thank you guys so much. And Guy, do you want to wrap us up before we?
Yeah, and all I can promise you, like this week, we brought the big time Zag all the way from California with Amanda. Next week, we're going to be joined by a few special guests. They're obviously some of the very best people in our actual space. They live in our world every single day, and we can't wait to announce those people next week, especially when we put out the promo. But they're all big time names that we've all heard a lot of. They're doing great work right now, and I cannot wait to share their names with you. And I just want to thank you guys for watching what we call the recorded broadcast. And right now what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn off the recording so we can go into live Q&A.